live export and what can we do about it? Now, there was a bit of excitement earlier on in the week by the announcement, or due to the announcement by elders in Australia saying that they were getting out of the live export market. So, because it wasn't profitable for them, a couple of the animal groups got all excited about it. I think Voiceless and Animals Australia sent out tweets about it, saying, this, that, and everything else. Getting all excited, saying Voiceless was getting out of that. Now, just dropped something down beside the seat, so I needed to pick that up. Though the other thing too is that, they may have gotten out of it. The thing is, though, they're not winding up live export. They were selling, they were going to sell parts of the business's ongoing concerns. Now, what that means is that the contracts will still be in place and they will still be shipping animals overseas. There was two different. There was a short haul and a long haul arms of the business. So the short haul one flies the animals out, and it was normally breeders, breeding stock that they were sending overseas. Now, I'm only looking around because I could hear a siren in the background. I just want to make sure it's not coming up behind me and I don't get distracted by talking to the camera now. No, it appears to have gone somewhere else. So yes, so that's all that they were doing, is that they weren't, while they were getting out of the live export trade because it wasn't profitable for them, that doesn't mean to say that it's not going to be profitable for the bigger, there's the ambulance there, one of the bigger traders, make it profitable for them because they've got better resources and all that sort of stuff. And the other thing too is that there was a report that came out about another ambulance, Indonesia increasing their quota. Now, I hope 2 ambulances going past doesn't mean that there's an accident up ahead. Traffic's flowing rather good for this time of night, so fingers crossed on that one. Now, going back to that, so it's the thing is that they're just talking about increasing the number of animals that they're importing to Indonesia, and our DPI, Minister for Primary Industries, Barnaby Joyce, or Minister for Trade, or whatever his title is, he's doing his best to open up live export, markets everywhere that he can. I think we're going to Vietnam. I know we send boxed meat to the US and a couple of other places as well. So this is the thing, is that this government doesn't want live export to stop. And to tell you the truth, neither does the Labor Party. So, it doesn't really matter which one that you say, we're going to do, Liberal or Labor or whatever it is, they're the friends of the animals. Well, no, they're not, because they've all got, agendas to push. How much luck the Darren Hinch and all those other senators, how much luck that they have in the Senate with the live export. Well, they could pass a bill in the Senate, though it won't pass in the House of Reps because the coalition controls the House of Reps, and they're all in support of live export. So this is the thing: how do we stop live export? Now, as with everything else, you can stop a product by one of 2 ways. You can either reduce demand or you can reduce supply. Now, is it possible to reduce supply? Unless you get all of the shipping companies to turn around and say no. Well, then the other thing too is that if you get all these Australian shipping companies to get on board saying, hey, we're no longer going to export live animals overseas live, then they'll just find an offshore one, and they'll send them by some other freight line, which is problematic within itself. So the way to reduce supply that way would be to get all the farmers on board. So the farmers no longer want to, they're no longer willing to sell their animals over, for that. So the way that you do that, they're they're agricultural farmers, livestock farmers. So they're always going to be selling livestock because that's what they are. So the only other way to do that is to get them out of the livestock business. And to do that, you need to find them some other use for their land that will be more profitable than sending animals, than farming livestock. Could you do it through permaculture? I don't know. What would the investment be And what would the return on that investment be, and how long would it take the farms to become profitable? Who knows? I've got a really itchy nose. Now I'm sure someone's going to say, oh, that's because you're lying or whatever it is. Well, no, it's not. I think that all these body language things are just, you can't take, oh, someone's touched their right ear or someone's looked over to the left. That means they're doing this. Well, no, it's not. It could be for anything. It's a whole lot of things taken together that you can tell. So anyway, I just think that this psychological analyses of the way people talk is just BS. Anyway, so yes, where am I going? Back onto that livestock. So the other way that we can reduce supply is if we put pressure on the relevant veterinary association and turn around and say, no, what you need to do is you need to take responsibility. Your first responsibility is to the animals. So why don't send a vet on board these ships? I'm not sure if it's legislation or whether it's just a regulation that there should be. If there's not a vet on board, can the ship still leave port? Who knows? That's what I'd be doing. I'd be turning around and putting pressure on the veterinary associations and turning around and saying, well, no, you need to communicate to your members that, blah, blah, blah. If your members do go on board, well, I don't know, what can you do? We won't send our pets to there. Well, your pets are going to have to go somewhere. So that's the thing, is that's how you reduce supply. The government's not going to reduce supply. No way would the government reduce supply, because it's, they're keeping a powerful and vocal lobby group. They're keeping them on board by doing that. It's the thing is that, people are scared of, the National Rifle Association and Sporting Shooters Australia and everything. Oh, because it's just a powerful gun lobby. Have a look about how powerful the animal agricultural industry is. I mean, you're talking about killing millions of beings every day. And, and that's something that, oh no, people aren't scared of that. The way that they're able to influence government, that is something I'll be scared of. So the other way you reduce it, you can end the particular practice is reducing demand. Now, the only way you can reduce demand for animals being exported live is that if you find a way that the particular market is able to accept chilled animal products, and that's the thing, is that I don't agree with shipping animals anyway, whether they're dead or cut them into pieces. So I'd love to see all these animal groups, Animals Australia and Animal Liberation groups and whatever other animal groups, actually on the ground promoting veganism in these areas like Indonesia and Vietnam and all that. Go and promote veganism and, spend the money educating people about that, instead of just turning around and pushing, a faux animal rights message about protesting and things like that. So, that's the thing. So that you can reduce demand that way. The other way you could reduce demand is by giving all these particular markets, giving them access to fridges. Buy a fridge for everyone, and then they're not going to send animals overseas live. They'll send animals over in cartons and boxes and all that sort of stuff, which that brings up another possible thing as well. I think I mentioned it in a previous episode. I'm not sure whether I published that one or not, about there was I think it was 5 containers. There was a humongous, it was like a bucket load of fresh and chilled and frozen animal products that were sent to Indonesia, though they just ended up sitting on the port because the importing organisation or the importing company didn't have enough permits. So Indonesia had gone through their little phase of wanting self-sufficiency, so they were reducing the importing of animal products. So they were just saying, no, we want to be self-sufficient by whatever year it was, and then that artificially inflated the price of animal products. So the ones who did want weren't able to access fridges, had to get the animals killed alive. I think it might be an accident that I saw the sirens go for, because traffic's come to a stop here. 100 k's an hour on this one, and this is Brisbane traffic for you. And I'm not saying that this is woeful or disgusting or anything like that. What I'm saying is that it shows a lack of forethought for our politicians, and they every time there's traffic jams and things like that, they should be held accountable for it. So anyway, this is another rant that I'll leave for something else. So yes, live export, the way that they can stop it is reducing demand. So give them all freezers. You need to work out that, hey, we are going to import, you're allowed to import all these products. Now, with the Indonesian one, they didn't have a permit to import that much because, as I said, Indonesia was going through their self-sufficiency stage, so they reduced the quota. I'm not sure what happened with that one. I believe that it might have been all dumped and just written off. So that's the other thing too, is that even if you do send them over boxed, that you need to make sure that the country is willing to accept them as a chilled product. So ideally, the best thing that they can do is get these people off animal products. How do you do it with religious slaughters and things like that? Who knows? I mean, we can't even get Australians to stop eating lamb on Australia Day and turkey and seafood for Christmas time. So, what hope have all these organisations got of, influencing, countries where that's what they do? So, this is the thing, and this points to holes in this whole animal advocacy, movement that people say it is. Well, it's not a movement. It's just it's a clique or a social acceptance club or whatever it is. So that's it. So there's so much work to be done to stop live export now. And the other thing too is that if Australia got out of live export, the animals would still come from somewhere. So it doesn't matter whether they get sent from Australia, from Brazil, from India, wherever they come from. There's still going to be animals imported to these countries because there's there is the market for it. There's the demand for it. Now, if Australia gets out, are we saying that we don't want our animals? Oh, pardon me. Getting stuck in traffic always bores me. Are we going to say that, no, you can't do that to our animals? What you do to your animals or animals from another country we don't care about? Who knows? So anyway, as with everything else in life, it is a complex issue. It's not something simple as black and white and things like that. So anyway, that's my little waffle about that one. What are your thoughts? Leave your questions, comments, troll statements, whatever you want to do. Leave it all below. And thank you for watching this episode of Vegan Police TV. My name was Cameron Blewett, or is Cameron Blewett. Remember, don't fear the vegan police. We're here to help.